Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, June 27th, 2022. And I think it's a pretty exciting time to be alive. It's hard sometimes to decide on a topic to bring forth, not because there's not enough, but because there's so many. And tonight I'm bringing a question that was posed by one of my subscribers. Hugo lives in Germany. And he's concerned because at the same time that Roe versus Wade was being overturned in the United States, Germany was passing legislation, or actually removing some legislation that didn't prevent abortions, but prevented them being advertised, solicited. That has now changed. And his concern was, I think, valid. Now, just so you know, in Germany, abortions were legal before, they still are now. That was not the problem. And providers of abortion services were allowed to say so on their websites. They just couldn't phrase it as if it was an advertisement or something that, buy two, get the third one free, coupons, things like that. And so Hugo's question was, is there a connection between potential lessening of abortion part supplies from the US to trying to get an increase in Germany? Now, I don't speak or read German, and the one link he was able to provide for me that was in English, I'll do a screen share of it. I am not necessarily recommending it to you because I thought that the presenter was a little less than professional, and some of his comments just didn't resonate with me. Let's just put it that way. But his facts seem to be on target. And one fact he shared, that just the screen stopped here at 6 minutes and 18 seconds in. This is from 1986, the number of abortions that were performed in Germany. And as you can see, it's been in a steady decline. Here is 2021. He said that part of the reason for that is there's a decline in the childbearing citizen ages of young people in Germany. There may be other factors too. Look at that sharp decline in the last couple of years. I think we'll be seeing that in a lot of places. So anyway, you can kind of see where I found that. Like I said, I'm not necessarily recommending that. I thought that particular video could have been a little more professionally and tactfully done. But the information seems to be valid. So his question is, are deep state operatives looking for ways to compensate for any less abortion product material that will be available from the United States? Is it just simply that Germany is becoming very liberal, or is there a darker agenda to this? And if you don't know what I mean when I talk about abortion products, this is a platform where I can't go into detail, but please know that tissue and cells and organs are sold, and there's a market and a supply and demand that is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So I'm talking about the products that are used, marketed, solicited, and used for purposes that no light-bearing person would ever want. And Hugo's worried that Germany is now going to pick up the slack and try to solicit more and provide those tissue issues that might have a demand. So let's see what the cards have to say. So this legislation, paragraph 219A, that was removed and now allows Germany to solicit and advertise abortion services and make it easier, if not downright lucrative, to pursue abortion services. Is this just part of a liberal agenda, or is there a deeper layer where they're trying to find other ways to have supply meet demand. So that's our question for the universe. We'll see what they have to say. Our first card is the Five of Swords. King of Cups, Seven of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, the Star, and Four of Swords. Okay, here's what the cards seem to be saying. Situation is the Five of Swords, and that is a defeat after some heavy losses. So it depends on which way you look at it. We've got a survivor and a victor here, and someone defeated walking away. At least they're walking away from the battle. So there's been a long battle about changing that legislation in Germany. Now, those who were in a position to make the decisions just simply thought they were being practical. And I get the impression they even know about the market that they'll be possibly increasing their supply for. And just thought, if it's going to happen anyway, let's use that material and make a profit and not worry about it. So we got a trickery card here for the near past. And people with very good intentions supported this, thinking they were supporting women's rights, simply similar to what we've had here in the US. People were convinced that they were supporting women's rights and women's health options, and not really realizing that they were helping the black market to exist. The Queen of Pentacles, though, she is a card of tranquility, even though she's not well aspected here with Mr. Tricky and this. But what I'm getting is that even though that's their intent is to increase the supply, I don't see that it's going to be too successful. The rate of people choosing to terminate pregnancies is not going to increase for a number of reasons. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles is a stability card, and that's kind of like, don't worry, we've got eyes on this. We got military, we've got let's just say eyes from positions of authority, not necessarily military. And of course, our advice card is the Sun here, which is a loving energy, just reminding us that things are happening in our world and with our sun, and a change is coming, and those changes are for the good. Let's see, though, if we can confirm or get a little more on this situation. Now, the High Priestess, she's a major arcana, and she often signifies duality, the two extremes. So we've got the people that are wanting that legislation for what they thought were good reasons, and those that had a sinister purpose to it. Now, the Chariot shows up when things are moving and we have events happening quickly in our world. It's exciting times. It really, really is. And he's indicating that things are moving along. So we have a little bit of waiting and patience there, and just a confirmation that the purpose behind the legislation wasn't as clear as it could have been. And Hugo, you were on the right track. Take heart, though, because we're getting the message that even though they've changed the legislation, that doesn't mean that the rate of procedures is going to increase. Okay, I mean, I get some comfort from that myself. So that's it for recent legislation in Germany that may have been designed to help offset legislation across the water in the United States. And I thank you for joining me for this video. If you enjoyed it, You're welcome to like, share, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Okay. Your time is precious, and I appreciate that you spend it with me. And I won't take that for granted, and I will try not to impose upon you too much or too often or too lengthy when I do. Okay. Short and sweet, right? Okay. That's it for me. Good night.